Don't you go nowhere.
Oh, Mike gonna stop lying.
What's that old saying? Give them their roses while they're here.
Right. Come on,
Give this man a hand. That's right. You deserve it. I want you to suck it up. You deserve this moment. This is history. Give him a hand, y'all. This is fucking history. So,
hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome again to another segment of Ballroom We Cares. I will be your host tonight. I am Father James Icon, and tonight we have a very special guest coming on tonight. We have someone who I consider to be the voice of a generation, an entrepreneur, the man with the mic in his hand, none other than the legendary Leggoh JohVera is here with us for a one-on-one conversation. And right in a moment, we're going to bring him up so everybody can see and sit down and talk with us. Leggoh.
Hey.
Welcome.
You can get the chapstick on.
welcome. I'm so happy that you came on tonight with us tonight. And, you know, we're going to sit down, we're going to talk, we're going to kick it, we're going to have some fun and everything, right?
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you. How's everything? Happy holidays. How was your Thanksgiving?
My Thanksgiving was great. The holidays is given, you know, we got a lot of shit going. I mean, a lot of stuff going on.
Gotcha.
You know, just working and making stuff happen.
Hey, that's what you do, right? That's why you are the entrepreneur, right, of everything, right? So let's get right into it, you know. So we are here tonight with Ballroom We Cares Incorporated, and which is a grassroots intervention that was created by 4 ballroom legends, Tim Lavin, Uncle Mike Ebony, Luna Khan, and the great late icon himself, Hector Extravaganza, in response to the crystal meth related deaths that they noticed in the NYC ballroom scene. Today, BWC provides support, education, awareness, and identify cultural competent resources to members of the ballroom community who are struggling with the crystal meth use and mental health illnesses. And that is a huge topic and epidemic that is going on in our community. And I'm so glad that we have these people in place that who care enough to do everything in their power to, you know, make sure that our community is preserved, and we help and we reach out to these people, because often not, a lot of times that help is missing because people might be ashamed, afraid, or just don't know where to go for that, right? So that's what's up. What's up, Stacy? What's up, Tabitha?
Hey,
Yeah,
Stacey.
Tabitha, our leading host with Ballroom We Cares. And now we are here with Leggoh JohVera, the creator of OTA.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the creator of OTA. Yep. You know, which is phenomenal, right? As we just seen in the clip, you was on 40 Times Square, 42nd Street. Come on, talk about it. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Outside, you know, I was trying to get there that day, but the schedule, you know, with the change. Oh man, I was mad watching that on live, but so happy and so proud. And like Tim said, you know, give a person their flowers while they're still alive, you know, and you are definitely deserving of all, like I say, flowers, you know, of all the deserving accolades, the things that you are blessed with are coming your way, because, you know, that I know of you to be a very humble and reasonable person, and that's appreciated.
Thank you so much.
Yes, please. Of course. No question. I'm just so happy that you are here, and I'm so happy that I get the opportunity to sit here and talk with you. So let's get into it. Let's get into some questions. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
And I promise you I'll be nice. You know, I'm not like that. So
yeah.
So first thing, tell us a little bit about Leggoh. Tell us about your upbringing.
Well, I was born in Panama. To Jamaican parents. My mother ended up meeting my stepfather, who was in the military, and
Mhm.
we ended up moving to the United States. Work mother. Um, I basically was raised between California and Maryland,
Mhm.
particularly Prince George's County, Fort Washington. Um,
Nice.
I was, very, after my mother passed away at 10, my dad ended up remarrying, and he ended up marrying a very religious woman. And I always thank God that, that she was able to come into our family, because I don't think I would have a relationship with God the way I do.
Yeah.
Um, and, just, I don't know. My upbringing is very Christian heavy, military heavy. Um, I grew up with a family that liked to talk shit with each other all the time.
Mhm.
Hence is
Mhm.
why, reading I see as a fun activity. Um,
Right. Right. Definitely. Right.
um, and they supported, me being in the dance ministry, and I was the head of the everything. Not, and I don't want to sound like I'm bragging, but I felt like, a lot of things that I came into, I ended up like becoming the one of the leaders in it, right? And that started from me like leading the dance ministry at my
Right.
church. And I guess like once I reach a certain age, I end up aging out of the ministry, and I end up finding, Vogue. But I always had this, even being in the scene, I always had this mindset of just like, military background, thank God, along the
Right.
way. You know, I guess that's, and I'm a Taurus, so I'm very,
Use power.
stand my ground, But yeah, and of course, my school system upbringing too. I was very, very glad that, I was around, same-minded teachers, and even people at my church too. I didn't start using big words till I saw people in church using big words. Like, you have those pastors that like to throw in those big
Yes.
words to show that they're
Yes.
reading the dictionary. Like, I
Yes.
was like, I want to talk like that,
Mhm.
and yeah, yeah. I guess that's, vein of my
That's your
upbringing.
right. Cool. And I like that. That's good. And it speaks of your personality. It explains, how you are and how you carry yourself, and your poise and your debonair, and your respect factor that you carry around with you, on top of being a Taurus. So what was like your first introduction into ballroom? Like, how did you discover ballroom?
um, Technically, truth is, I was show this boy in high school started duck walking in front of me.
Hmm.
I just remember him talking about voguing. He was just one. You know how every school had that outlandish gay boy. He was one of them, and he was duck walking. It was crazy. I'd never thought about it again. It was just like a quick
Mhm.
moment. And then I'm living in California, and then I'm just like bored on YouTube. And I was just like, well, let me see some voguing. Like, what is that good? Because I'm thinking it's the typical, you
Right.
know,
And what year is this?
stereotypical shit that we always see. And the first video clip I saw was Icon Damien versus Icon Stanley. And seeing how Stanley was moving, I'm just like, that's, oh my God, who moves like that? And then seeing, this is the clip where Damien does this tick down
Mhm.
thing that he
Mhm.
always does.
Mhm.
And I instantly fell in love, right? And then the very next clip I watched was of Lola. Um, and I was like, I instantly, the moment I thought that I wanted to be a part, I was like, I'm going to carry in this. I don't know what the hell this is, but this is
Wow.
so expressive. And this is like, oh my gosh, I'm seeing gays around each other. And again, my upbringing was very much like, I remember
Mhm.
my dad instinctively telling me that I couldn't invite a friend to my birthday party because he was gay. Because
Wow.
every friend that I had, my parents thought that, me and them were like in a relationship, or we were
Right. Right.
having or
Right.
whatever.
Which parents do? Which parents
Yeah.
do?
Yeah. So for me to see a space where it's like, and of course, my parents, saying that made me think that that's all that gay people do, just
Mhm.
be around each other and have sex all the time. I didn't really know what it looked like to see gay people be friends, right?
Right.
So to see the ballroom scene, I'm like, what? Like this was like gold, right? This was
Right.
my El Dorado.
Right.
And I instantly, gravitated to it. I ended up going to this is when, you remember BGC chat? I don't know if you ever heard of it. I used to
I mean,
go
it was a
to
little older, but I remember.
yes, this is when the video chat rooms was up and running. And I went into the video chat room. I'm just like, I used to be there faithfully, and I was telling everybody like, "Oh my gosh, there's this dance," and everyone else in the whole chat room was like, "Girl, that's Vogan. Like, how you just find out about that?" So I was so eager to learn it, and I was living in Moreno Valley, California at the time, so there was no voguing happening around me.
How old were
So
you?
I was 18 at the time.
What
This is
year?
in
Around what year was
2008.
2008?
2008. Yeah. And they would actually teach me how to vote via the video chat.
Cool.
So I would have moments where I'm like thinking I'm fucking bitches up, looking a hot mess, but just fucking bitches up, to where I started to get a hold on it. And then I started a YouTube channel. And once I realized what Legendary was, and I saw Jack, when I saw Jack commentating, and I saw Selvin commentating, and I saw Kevin commentating, and the music from Mike Q and JR and Vaughn Allure, I was like, oh, I really want to be in this. Like, this is literally, like, when I was younger, I watched the movie Idlewild, the movie that Outkast made, and I was just like, damn, I really would love to have a night like that when I get older. I would love to run a night like that, right? And I'm like, I don't know how it would happen, but I'm just like, that would be so dope, because I thought that was just something that doesn't happen nowadays, right? And immediately I was just like, oh, this is not possible. And I just said, bitch, you're going to be legendary. Start documenting everything now. So I created a YouTube channel, and I started making videos of me, like, learning how to vote. Around that time, I had just started, I had watched my first video of Tiny Toons Mizrahi. I'm not sure if she's still a Mizrahi now, but I saw a clip of her, and I was so amazed to see like a cis woman voguing, right? Because I just thought that just didn't exist, right? Because again, I'm just learning about the scene. So I messaged her on MySpace. Remember that?
Right.
I messaged her on MySpace, and I'm just like, I really love your style, and she sent me her number instantly.
Wow.
And the first conversation we had, we were saying something, and she commentated what I said and made it rhyme. And I'm like, girl, what is that? She's like, commentating, that's what the girls be doing. And she was a very big fan of Selvin. Like, every time Selvin came out with a chant, when we would get on the phone, she would like mention, like, Selvin came out with this new chant, and then she would say the chant, to me. So it was like, I was like living through Tiny,
right?
Because like every ball that she was going to, she would always call me and tell me everything. It was like one of the most magical things. I'm just like, I need to be there, and that's how I got into commentating too, right?
Oh, yeah. My next question,
so Tiny, Tiny was basically the person that taught me and introduced me to commentating, and like really listening to what they're saying, and like making it a fun hobby at the time to do. And then I ended up going to my first ball at the Latex Ball, which is in 2010. I ended up getting chopped by Deja. And the funny thing is, my aunt ended up bringing me to the ball, and Deja chopped me on my first dramatic dip, which did not go as I thought it did in my head. The way it happened in my head and the way it was executed was too.
You thought you was turning it. You thought you was gonna get there. You was like,
right. I see Deja like this, and I already knew. But I had asked the supporters that I had on the YouTube channel, like, should I walk the latex ball? And one person was like, look, if you're gonna get chopped by a fat girl at a major ball. Let it be worth something. Right. So my auntie, the rumble ball, how like they would have the latex ball at the Roseland, and then Jack would do the latex aftermath, the rumble ball, right? So we I was like, okay, well, I want to go to the rumble ball. So my aunt was like, well, if you're going to compete this time, maybe you should be like the other soft girls. Don't do the fast dropping on the floor. And I'm like, okay, so I played a nice little work this pussy, and I voted in front of my auntie. She's
Oh, you
like,
was feeling fish.
yeah, like
You was
that,
feeling fish.
right?
You was coming
So
down.
then, right. So then I go to the ball, and Deja's on the panel again. I'm like, you know what, God, this is not. I mean, I know you. I mean, I was just telling myself this. I must be on the way to become a fab girl, because this is only something that happened in like a autobiography or whatever, or what's it called, a biopic movie. Yeah, I'm like, this is. I'm like, yeah, I'm like, how's she on the panel again? Like, she already had her turn. So, I'm like, okay, so my auntie's right there. She's like, soft. So I do my little something, and then Deja goes, like, she remembered me, because she was like, and as soon as I started voguing songs, she was like, Tans, and I went from this, like, nervous, like, bitch, I'm gone. All right, Miss Deja said I got it.
Right.
Rest in peace to Deja.
Yeah, amen. Amen. Bless her. We miss her so much.
Yeah, she is such an angel. My goodness. And after that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna be soft and kind, and I ended up moving to Baltimore. So I was, as soon as I moved to Baltimore, 3 days later, my auntie ended up taking me to New York for the latex ball. Then after that, that's when I started getting involved with the Baltimore ballroom scene.
Right. So that's wow. That's good. And I like everything that you said, and it brings it to segue, because, like you said earlier, you were looking for a community, a group of people that you fit in with. You wanted that glamorous lifestyle and everything that you imagine when you sing Ottawa and everything like that, right? And for many of us in the ballroom is our refuge and our saving grace. As a community throughout the years, we've experienced substance use, substance abuse, negligence, homophobia, transphobia, gender identity discrimination, incarceration, mental illness, and unfortunately, unexplainable deaths, in which we all have experienced quite a few, right? And we witness individuals who have cried out for help via social media and later took their own lives, and we wish that, damn, could we have done something, right? And we haven't experienced the senseless killing of our trans sisters as well, some from ballroom. Although we are traumatized, though, and have become numb to some of these issues, ballroom has remained resilient. And, your passion to find that community, and you know how what was going on the floor, and you said to yourself, I know that I'm going to be that girl, because this keeps happening. You knew it. You yourself was resilient in everyone's life. So tonight we are hoping that that this discussion that we are continuously having will give us an opportunity to learn more about Leggoh, the entrepreneur, the microphone, and the survivor, right? And we are also hoping that this discussion touches a life in a way that will change it for the better, or at least provide more hope. And, with the spirit like yours, you provide hope every Monday night at OTA, it's phenomenal. Like you spoke of, Jack, and the Rumble Balls and the Rainbow Balls and the Super Sunday Balls and stuff. And, we go to Esquilitas or something like that. We used to go to the clubhouse and everything. And all of those things tracks for me, and Better Days and Divisions and then Philadelphia with the Nile and Roses and Stars and everything, Fever, all of that, right? And a time where a lot is not going on, you are providing yet again a space for us to come and enjoy ourselves at a time where, one, it's needed, there's nowhere to go, and we're actually having a really good time. You know what I'm saying? And if you're not there in person, you there via internet and you watching what's going on, or the next day you waiting for the clips, like clips.
Right.
And so you was a part of the Baltimore ballroom scene, right? So what was your first house?
Well, my first house was the House of Radiance. And I was only a member via online. They went to one ball, I believe, and the house ended up closing right after that.
No.
And then
no.
But funny enough, after I watched Paris is Burning, I loved how confident Pepper was about her house. You were saying, like, the way she spoke about LaBeija, I'm just like, I want to be around people that have confidence like that.
Mhm.
I want to be around that. So I was like, I want to be a LaBeija, but no, you're
Mhm.
fine. But at the time, everyone was just like, oh, the LaBeijas are, not around, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, I'm going to become a LaBeija regardless, right?
Right.
So then I ended up typing in LaBeija on Facebook, and I came across Modavia's page, and I messaged her, and I was just like, I really want to become a LaBeija, and I don't know how. And she was just like, she gave me Tommy LaBeja's contact, and she was
Mhm.
just like, welcome to your journey, and the
And
rest was
here we
history.
are. Yeah, I love it. I love it. And you picked one of the House of Foreign Gods. You know what I'm saying? It is, you know, what other way? Yeah, you were setting it up, baby. I love it. I love it. So in Ballroom, what would you say is your favorite category?
Hmm. Um, I have three
Okay.
that I equally love, and
Okay.
that will be a hand performance, commentator versus commentator,
Of
and
course.
Vogue Fam.
All right. All right. All the things that you are.
I like to dib and dabble.
You know, okay, all the things that you are that make up Lego JohVera. I love that.
Mhm.
JohVera. And explain to the people the name and what it represents.
Um, JohVera came. First of all, I was just like, okay, in a space where, we have to worry about copyrights of names that we choose. I was actually originally my house was going to be named Von Teese, right?
Mhm.
And I was speaking to a friend that was just like, why would you name your house after someone else? Start your own thing. So, it took a lot of thought. And it just so happens I came across Marsha P. Johnson's documentary on Netflix.
Which was
And I was
excellent.
just like, huh?
It was excellent.
Yes, yes. So I was like, um, okay, okay, the House of Johnson ain't gonna sound right. The House of Rivera didn't sound right. So I literally it felt like a puzzle game. And 10 minutes later, it was just like, okay, Joe for Marsha P. Johnson, and then Rivera for Sylvia. So yeah, JohVera.
They're beautiful, beautiful. Pay homage, rest in peace. I love that. See, you think outside the box to create a box, that everybody can dig into. I love that. I love that.
I love puzzle games.
Oh, so yeah, you're a Taurus. You use your mind a lot. You do a lot of thinking, a lot, a lot of thinking. So, who were some of the people that you would say in Ballroom that inspired you? And and then also after that, two parts. And who were your mentors?
The people that inspired me um, to commentate, Tiny, Miss J,
Hmm.
Miss J Karam, but she didn't change her last name so many times. But J Exclusive, um,
Hmm.
Jack, Selvin, Kevin, Greg, and Jayon 92. Remember the guy that used to record the videos? He'd be like,
Hmm.
yeah. I love his personality. His personality and Jack's personality in a ballroom setting is my favorite. And then to Vogue, Christina. Christina's like Christina.
My sister,
Ricky
shout out to
Allure.
Christina Richards. Love you.
Yes, Ricky Allure.
One of the
My
best.
father. Yes, my father. Boom. Um,
Boom Vogues.
geez, I would just want to say all the Butch Queen Vogue femmes, you know, the Princes, the Ronaldos, yeah.
All of
I
them.
love I think the fun thing about Butch Queen Vogue Femme is it's very imaginative. Like you have to
Hmm.
have imagination.
Right.
We did OTA Academy, and there was a segment that Ricky was teaching. And he was like, "What are you wearing?" And you would have to be like, "I have a short mini skirt on. I got a long waterfall," and it was just like so imaginative. I'm just like, that's what I love about Butch Queen Vogue Fam. Like you really have to, tap
Create
into something that's not physically there.
right. You have to learn the art of it, the movement, and I like that. I like that you said that because in the people that you named, each one had a unique style of voguing, right? One didn't really copy the other. They had their own aesthetic, and they would go
Oh,
at it.
and Janice. I'm sorry,
Oh,
Janice
of course.
definitely was the. When I saw Janice Vogue, I realized, oh, I can add in because I was just in the mindset just has to be freestyle, right? Once I saw
Mhm.
Janice Vogue, I'm like, oh, I can really, you know, bring in a combo. That's when I first saw what a combo was,
Right,
seeing
right,
her break it down. I was just like, oh yeah, I need some of that.
right, right. Boom, 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 boom.
And her
Right.
hands, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, Janice Vogues, performance out the wizard. She vogues in the
Mhm.
name. Always has, always had, and still
Yeah.
can probably get down for her crown. Still shake it up. So tell us how OTA started. What gave you the idea? How did that become to life?
Well, actually, I was supposed to do a ball at the $3 bill. It was supposed to be a one-off, and I was gonna call it the fish turtle ball. And I don't know why my friends, I don't know
Fish
why
tank.
the people around me, right, allowed me to even come up with the words fish turtle
Fish turtle.
and make me think it was fab. I remember one time, I was at a ball and Jack was just like, what was that turtle bear? But I was supposed to do a ball that around that time Karl Lagerfeld had passed away. The reason why
Okay.
that was impactful to me because we were gonna have I believe it was Dolce & Gabbana and Marc Jacobs was gonna we were in talks with them of sponsoring the ball. So once
Wow.
that happened, it kind of like shut everything down. So I ended up having to cancel it. But $3 a bill, I was showing up almost every day meeting with them. So they was just like, well, we can offer since you weren't able to do the ball, we have our Mondays open. So if you want to do something weekly here. So and that's how it ended up starting. Now I had OTA originally was a Vogue session. Right? It was
Right.
supposed to be like a series of Vogue sessions or whatever.
Mhm.
So it's like once the opportunity came, it was just like, okay, yeah.
Go for it. Wow.
Yeah, but
And
I
how long?
wasn't thinking about doing I wasn't like on the verge of wanting to do a weekly situation. It wasn't until it was offered to me.
Right. Okay. Good. Because you started off monthly or something, right?
No, I was doing actually I was a monthly resident commentator at Mike Hughes' House of Vogue at the House of Yes.
Got you. So
So
keep
that's
that.
that's initially how I got introduced to actually commenting. Like everyone I feel like was more familiar with me do like I Tend to Vogue. So me being somebody that did Vogue music, but I
Mhm.
was actually grabbing the microphone and running a function. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's what's up. That's what's up. So yeah, you're a self-starter. I love that. I just want to tell you that Joy said I never met the iconic Leggoh, but I've been watching for years and I love you. You've changed people like me that didn't have ballroom growing up in my city. So from the Queen of Kentucky, we love you. I love you. I'm Leggoh, la 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 Leggoh, love Asia. Oh, Joy. I hope I said your name right too, Joy.
Mm-hmm.
So that shout out to Joy.
Mm-hmm.
So
Thank
so
you, Joy.
So how long has OTA right now has been operational?
Up, we started in 2019, the 1st of July, so a
Uh,
little like a year and a half,
Okay, good. And then you got to
about 2 years. Yeah.
okay, cool. And then you got to 42nd Street, Times Square.
God has a way of laying out the
Talk about it.
pathway.
Talk about
And the crazy thing is, I'm very heavy on speak those things that are not as though they were. So I was
it.
actually doing a gig with Rashad Newsom in Times Square, and we had
Mhm.
a rehearsal in Times Square Arts. So when I walked in there the first day, the director of Times Square Arts was in there, and she was just like, Leggoh. And I'm thinking like, okay, she might know me from OT or whatever. So, you know, the typical, hey, what's going on? And she's just like, no, what's the face? We worked together before when you were doing House of Vogue. And I was just like, oh, okay. And in my head immediately, I'm like, I'm doing a ball in Times Square.
Wow.
Instantly in my head, I'm just like, okay, we're doing a ball in Times Square. So after we did the whole little, you know, run through with Rashad, you know, and then reaching back out to them. And the moment I was just like, hey, you know, the first message, I was like, I think we should do a ball in Times Square. She replied back immediately, yes, let's do it.
Wow.
Yeah,
Look at that.
The rest was history.
Look at that. Look at it was destined. Yo, Leggoh. You blowing my mind. You are.
It's been, but you know, that's the crazy thing. Like when it came to Times Square, even when I got the Barclays Center, you know, it kind of felt like y'all watch it. I'm very, very, very spiritual, so you gotta handle my references. But it's reminded me of that story, like the story of Jericho, where the people walked around this city for 7 days and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I walked by Times Square so many times. I'm just like, dang, I would love to, like, you know, just in my daydreaming, I would love to perform here. You know, same thing with Barclays Center. I used to walk past Barclays Center to go to my meeting with my caseworker. And every time I pass, I'm just like, you know, that would be so dope to, you know, perform there. And, you know, it just ended up happening. You know, I'm just like, dang, you know, this wasn't even something that I thought would be possible, especially because you know how the girls, the non-ballroom gays are towards the ballroom gays. You would say so. It'll be one thing like, all right, we let the queers in, and then those queers are like, okay, we ain't letting them ballroom girls in though.
True.
You know.
True.
So to have that, it was really a blessing. It took a lot of hard work, you know, but yeah, I was really, really glad that the team, you know, helped pull that through.
Cool. Are we gonna see another OTA in Times Square?
Oh, it's annual.
It's annual. Oh. Oh,
yeah, it's annual. So we're, you know, we're working on to make it even bigger. I think, you know, this one was more so like, you know, to see what it would look like. You know, the stage was a little bit small. I apologize to the Vogue Femmes. Poor Pandora, she did a 360 and half of her body was on the stage, the other half was off the stage. But this next year we're gonna have a bigger stage and everything. Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's what's up. Wow, annual. I love that. I don't care what's going on. I'm gonna clear a whole week in case schedules get changed and everything. I'm gonna be there for that one. You can bet your bottom
yes.
I'm trying to get to an OTA too. I'm trying to work out my schedule for the rest of the year. I might take off. You know, I got some time because I want to step up in the OTA. Like, y'all be.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot of fun. And when I look at it, and I look not so much at the people walking, but the people in the background, I can see that a lot of people are not from Ballroom. It's just like people from all over that want to have that experience and come see it in person, you know, are there, you know, and really enjoying themselves. And some of them even come out and walk. I've seen a couple like, okay, you've been watching, you know,
yeah, you know, the being able to see people like Aja, you know, Aja LaBeija, you know, come into the scene, get shot, come to OTA, you know, spar with some girls, and then see her, you know, now winning at OTA. You know, there's other people like that too. I know there was this one Butch Queen where before the pandemic, they used to always come and just sit down and watch. We came back after the pandemic, and this thing is winning grand prize, you know, carrying all these girls.
Whole year to practice. And I'm glad you brought that up because I heard you say 2019 and now it's 21. I was going to ask you, you know, during that midsection, how had life been during the pandemic?
During the pandemic, it was, I mean, that was an interesting little situation. As far as it pertains to OTA, we end up getting onto Bigo. Now, the way that we were introduced to Bigo was I was just bored one day, and one of my friends, I forget who, was just like, you know, oh my gosh, like, oh, you got to bring OTA to Bigo. And I'm just like, well, girl, we in a pandemic. Like, how am I bringing OTA anywhere? There was just like, it's an online app. So I get on the app. As soon as I get on the app, it's like, oh, Leggo's here. Okay, we're going to have OTA here. And I'm like, girl, let me, I'm seeing the things that I'm like, a virtual ball. This is when virtual ball started heavily getting promoted and stuff. And I'm like, girl, that ain't gonna make sense. The girl's gonna be dipping off beat and all this extra shit, you know. But yeah, the girls really, really wanted us to do OTA on Bigo, so we were able to do OTA, intermittently weekly, right? So, and that was very fun because we were able to see people from, Singapore and Brazil, even saying being able to get, their little piece of OTA. And then we were able to get Nike to sponsor, our Pride Ball on the app, which was like, so that's when I started to realize, okay, OTA is really going somewhere. So then once we started to get towards the end of the quarantine, that's when I was just like, okay, we got to seriously start preparing for, X, Y, and Z, because I was just like, okay, by the time we opened, there was like 600 people in the line on the first night.
Wow.
And we were not ready. But then I was just like, okay, maybe it's just, people's been locked up, in the house, and now they're, glad to get out. And then it started to dwindle down, of course, but then celebrities started popping up. We had Sam Smith come, Big Frida has passed by, a few models have passed by, and some celebrities come in and they just want to be, behind the scenes, and not seeing it. It's starting to feel very much like I watched Studio 54 during the pandemic. So I was just like, that feels bad now. You got the little ones and twos popping through. But the pandemic itself, I ended up playing video games. Yeah, like I bought a Nintendo Switch. I played that good old Zelda and yeah, Zelda and Golden Girls.
That's what got you through the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
Zelda.
If there was anything I learned from
I said I hear you.
Yeah, it was definitely. I actually liked it. As weird as it seems, I liked the kind of like a break and
the chill. When you went outside, nobody was out there. Nobody. Thank you. Nobody was out there.
Yeah, like, but going into seeing, I had to see Times Square. Once I saw the pictures of Times Square, no one was there. I was just like, I gotta go there and see it myself. It was so surreal. Kind of felt like something from Resident Evil.
Or a movie, right? Like you felt like you was in a movie, right?
Yeah, I felt like you was on a movie set. Like it was so weird to not see it.
I Am Legend.
And be able to actually see a clean street. I'm like, yeah, it's clean because ain't nobody here. I haven't seen the homeless people. Like, where did the homeless people go?
Even they disappeared. They were gone. They were gone. It was like, woo, ghost town, and everything. Jennifer, we love you. Leggoh loves you too.
I love you too.
So, oh God, yeah. Oh wow, right. The pandemic. You're right. It just the world stopped, and I loved it. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I loved it right along with you. Loved it. I loved it. I loved it. So let's go a little deeper. Let's talk a little bit about whether you think that there is a stigma and shame in ballroom and how it impacts someone's drug use and or ability to seek help.
Yeah, because hurt people hurt people. You hear a lot of the shady girls. Their excuse on the reason why they are the way that they are is because how they were brought and introduced into, ballroom. And in their head, what they went through was 10,000 times worse, So I feel like, when we talk about, how ballroom is now, a lot of people, like they see OTA and they're like, oh, it's a little bit cheesy, they too nice or whatever. I'm like, it's a weekly ball, but at least people are able to come and not feel attacked, right?
Oh, certainly.
Like the same people that talk about how ballroom needs to change get mad when it changed, but that's also the same group of people that made fun of Yolanda when she was screaming for help before she,
Talk about it.
passed away.
Talk about it. Talk about it.
So it's like, when it comes to ballroom, there's stigma because we're told that, people make these things like, my ballroom life and my real life. No, this is real life. This is real
I say
human
that
interaction.
all the time,
You
Leggoh.
taking, your daughter transitioning is not transitioning into a character like this is some, video game. That's real everyday life. You
Absolutely.
having, services at your ball is not because it's not real life. This is real life shit that, affect people, and I'm glad that we're now in this space where people are talking about mental health too, because
Yes.
it's like, yeah, these are the, this idea of being fab, and, people, key about doing certain drugs, which I understand, like, if you know how to handle your thing, you handle your, thing or whatever. But there is some type of level of what do we do about people that need help, you know, away from these type of things, But yeah, it's definitely there.
Yeah. So even with that, what are your thoughts on the crystal meth related services provided by agencies?
Mhm. You know, when we would do like meetings with agencies, me and Tim, I would
Hmm.
always ask, why is it just MSM? Um, what about the trans women? You were saying, I don't think I don't. It's not the same, right?
It's not.
Uh,
It's not.
what do we do
I
about the
work. I
trans
work with
men?
a huge trans population at my
Hmm.
place of employment. And I see that problem as well.
Yeah, so it's just like I always ask questions like, do you provide services to just this demographic, or this is OTA. So the best match, the best pairing of an agency for OTA would be one that's literally open to all, right? What do
Absolutely.
I do if there's a cisgendered lesbian, or a cisgendered heterosexual woman that comes into OTA and need help? Are you going to tell them, oh, we can't provide you services because you don't fit all the checks on the box? You were saying, uh, but that's not everyone. That's not everyone.
No.
There's a lot of agencies, and I don't want to, Well, no, I do want to shout out to three specific agencies: Housing Works, Kylan Lord, and Ballroom We Care. You know, they've supported OTA from the beginning.
Hmm.
Shout out to Johnny. Of course, Brandy, who used to be a part of Housing Works, and Tim has just been great, with making sure that when we talk about agency interactions, we're like, we want you to actually help these girls and be
Right.
creative with how you reach out to them, because you would have your table right here, someone's sitting right there
Yes.
minding their business, you don't even know that they're going through. How do you
Right.
reach out to them? How do you cover all these, boxes? Even Tabitha too, I remember I went out for my son's birthday party, and I saw Tabitha walk out of the club to talk to somebody that needed help, with something. And I'm just like, this is the kind of interactions I like to see when it comes to agencies. Like for me, I was homeless in New
Yeah.
York,
Talk
and I
about it.
was told that being a ballroom girl, your talents in ballroom is not going to get you anywhere, right? And I don't believe it was ever said to anyone in a shady way. It was more so like, a girl, there's more to life than just ballroom, right?
Right. Right.
Um, but I remember I used to escort, I used to take the A train all the way to the last stop on, I think it's Lefferts, for $40. And
Mm.
when I did my first gig voguing, I made $75. So I'm like, well, look, we're going to figure this voguing shit the fuck out, because if I don't have to go see Mr. Man, I would definitely do that. So I just really, while I was, you know, trying to get my footing in the shelter, it was the
Hmm.
ballroom gigs, doing work with the LaBeijas or whatever, you know, and after a while, I was just like, oh, this is actually something that could really, really work. And then, of course, Queen Bee with the legendary Mike Q. Queen Bee really helped me along the way too, with putting me in different spaces.
Shout out to Mike Q.
Yeah. Did I veer off the question?
No.
Okay. What was the question?
Well, we went from what are your thoughts on crystal meth related services provided by agencies, and you spoke about that, but you started to speak about your experience and what you had to do for yourself outside of those agencies a little bit. No. You right on point. You're right on point because
I
the interview is about you, so we want to hear about you. We want to hear about what you go through, because like we said earlier, it can help somebody just to hear what you go through. You don't know how similar your story is to the next person. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I like that you even incorporated our women of the scene, into that conversation as well, because oftentimes it's not. They are not forgotten, but not really cared to as they should be, like everybody else, because again, Ballroom are on the backs and the heels of the women. So like shout out to our women of Ballroom.
Oh yeah. Oh, you said what are my thoughts with these agencies too? Let me look.
Come on.
And I say this respectfully. This whole pay the girls, sponsor the girls fully in the way that they should be sponsored. It is not cheap throwing a ball. We already know that you need to get there to get your numbers or what have you. And we know that you get way more coin doing that job than whatever it is. You need to make sure that you're helping with actually giving us a certain amount of coin in which where sponsorship look like sponsorship.
Right.
I shouldn't have to be like, okay, well, I'm not gonna act this agency for two. I know I'm not gonna get this much, help from this agency that wants all this benefit from this ball. I have to say that until somebody like Nike comes to me, and asks about something. Like, no, if you're, get involved. Like you were saying, make sure that the people that of the balls that you're sponsoring is actually announcing your ball, announcing your services or whatever that deal is. Make sure there's activations happening, because a lot of times when I see people at balls, it gives very much that they're just sitting there. Right. It doesn't give you like every now and then you'll get that one person that will say something to bring you to the table or whatever. But it's just like, no shade, humbly as it's kept, and I thank God for it. OTA doesn't need sponsorship.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you're in the space, I know you're in the space from what you can benefit from what we're providing, right? As when it comes to demographic. I would like to see you working your ass off while you're there.
Yeah,
I had one agency in which where they would come to OTA and they would just sit stuff up at the table and then go into the ball. Sit down in the front on video with drinks in hand.
Wow.
And paid it. Like you were saying, paid it. So I'm like, no, I want to see, especially like you're going to more likely get someone that needs services at an OTA than you would at a major bar. Because at a major bar, everyone's coming and done. You were saying only the fab girls are really, how it goes with the fab girls, So it's just like, it's imperative that, that agencies are a little bit, I don't want to say aggressive, but more intentional when they're in these spaces, right? The method of sitting pamphlets down and just sitting at the table with signs and expecting people to read them when they pass is not getting your numbers. And having people sign a list at the front versus doing, like, I think it's kind of lazy if an agency says we want you to sign your email at the front of the door.
Right.
No, work for those emails. That child don't know what you provide. They just
explain your services and what you have to offer to these people. Explain how they benefit from your agency and where they should come to and how can they access these services, right? And
As
when you
many times that I wrote my email down for agency, I never got one email.
oh wow,
Not
wow,
even a happy holidays, a happy new year.
wow,
I
wow.
never got an email. So it's just like, what's the purpose of,
Point.
being
What's the point,
intentional?
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
just for numbers, right? So when you and speaking about agencies, I had a very good question, and his question was, do you think that mothers and fathers should go through some sort of training program through the agencies to help them deal with a child or house member, excuse me, who has a substance abuse problem? Should they be
Um,
providing services, training classes on how for mothers and fathers on how to deal with house members who have a substance use abuse issue?
yes. And I'm surprised. First of all, hey Pioneer, I love you. Um,
Shout out to
I'm
all.
surprised that that has not already been done, right? You would think that if I'm coming to a specific demographic, right, and we're having things like, Ballroom We Care starting activations where we're, I remember I went to one of their first town halls, and that was one of
Mhm,
the questions that the parents was asking. Now, the
mhm.
Kiki scene, I believe they have a great relationship with agencies. They have a Kiki coalition. They have their
The Kiki's
meetings and
in everything.
everything.
The Kiki scene is in everything.
Them babies
Everything.
are locked in. I think with adults, I mean, not adults because the Kiki girls are adults too. In the main scene, there should be some type of, I guess it would come to, the house. Not every house is built the same. Some houses don't, they're not really houses, they're more so corporations. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
Um, but yeah, I feel like the service should definitely be provided, right? I think if anything, I think that would be more so something like House Lives Matter, would do.
Right, like
Considering
Ballroom We
I feel
Care has crystal meth trainings, which are free for everyone. So yeah, you
right.
definitely
And I think honestly, yeah, because it takes a lot to run a house. It takes a lot to be a leader, right? Because how it should be is if you're a parent or if you're leading your house, the issues of your members are your issues. So you have to think
say that
twice
again.
before you
Say that
take
again.
on the issues of your members are your issues. So you have to think twice before you take your position because
Listen, people.
when this girl can't show up to this appointment, even saying, and they need $30, for the cab or the Uber, and you can't provide it, but you're winning trophies. So it's just like, I do feel like there should be some type of, some type of orientation or some type of classes that are available to
Mm-hmm.
parents. I mean, me, frankly, I think that, founders should make it mandatory that before someone join leadership, that they must know conflict resolution. They must know something about drug substance, you know, something that keeps them prepared. Because
Right,
sometimes
because
you can say the wrong thing, you
yo,
know.
sometimes, quite often, people can say the wrong thing. Like you said earlier, you don't know what a person is dealing with, so you don't know how what you say affects a person. Um, and that you have to be mindful of the things that you say to and around people. Because sometimes not even to the person directly, but just around earshot, somebody can take it like.
Yeah, for me, like when I would see the girls go from, they're timid, they're nervous, they're shy, they're nice and humble when they
Mhm.
first start in the scene. And then
Right.
over a while, they start to feel their oats, you saying, and now it kind of it starts to become, they turn into the very thing that made their come up, a struggle.
Oh,
Um, for
always.
me, yeah, for me, like, you know, I would leave like no commentator would understand if I said I have a personal I have because of the things that you said or the things that you've done, they personally damage, me or they, hurt me in a certain kind of way. Right.
Uh-huh.
But you've been doing this for umpteen years and this is how the scene has been. You know what I'm saying? How I'm gonna have to go through my whole situation the way that everyone else is. Bottled up, no matter how disrespectful, no matter how traumatizing it is. I was told one time from an icon, they said that, being to throw shade is like a badge of honor. I'm like, that's not the proper mindset that you should have, right? Shade, good iconic shade, if it's coming from an icon or a leader, shade that I should not realize happened until 2 weeks later. Or I'm telling the story to my girlfriend, and you're like, girl, you do realize, like you were saying, like, I think that a lot of icons and legends now don't take into consideration that there are people who think that if they had the popularity that they have, that would be the solution to their depression, their anxiety. If I had, fat people, going up for me every time I stepped in the room, or someone's always passing me a drink or whatever, or someone's always telling me I'm, pretty, or I always have comments and likes on my, Facebook, whatever, some girls transition in the space thinking that I'm transitioning because the people go up for me when I'm up in it. So I need to permanently stay up in it so I can permanently get my life.
But like you said, when a girl comes out and how she is later on when she grows up, right? And you mentioned that the icons and legends have to understand that. True. As well as the young people have to understand that this is what you will become.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Yeah,
if you take initiative and the stance to change that generational curse or that cycle, that generational cycle, let's say cycle.
Yeah,
I'm glad
it's still shade. Ballroom can still be. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was saying, no, I was just giving a shout out to Shine. Go ahead.
Hey, Sam. So, ballroom is, it's fun to be shady. Like you
Right.
were saying, that's, we're going to have our funny moments, there's going to be some, I might say something shady. It's not giving, Disney Channel, but it's definitely not giving American Horror Story.
So, yeah.
So
there has been some reads. There has been some reads, and you be like,
yeah, and I think it really comes to like, what kind of leader or entertainer are you? Where you have to, the way that you provide entertainment is at the expense of someone's mental. You know what I'm saying? It's at the expense of someone feeling embarrassed or ridiculed. There's several ways to be entertaining without trying to be, you have to check yourself. One of the number one fears in the world amongst the human race is stage fright.
mm-hmm.
So you add stage fright on top of embarrassing someone, and that, like you were saying, and then you don't know what they may have, dealt with, like, yeah.
I got right.
I always wanted to know when I was, younger, watching fat people, like, my biggest question that used to always interest me was, when did you realize you were fab? Like, when was the moment that you knew, like, bitch, I am it, right? Hey, Sekou. And the reason why I always wanted to know that, because I'm just like, when you realize you were fab, but you had the opportunity now to influence a change, why didn't you influence change versus influencing the cycle to continue? And
we all victim to it. We are all victim to it.
Yeah, so I'm just like, what's like for me? I'm like, dang, I wish, my house is, for the, people that know what the Beiges were going through, like my house is in disarray, and there's a lot of people outside of them seeing the drama that was going on with my house. They saw there was some heavy hitters that was coming up in that house. Right. So strategically, I'm going to take advantage of this disarray that's happening to make sure
absolutely
this thing doesn't get launched.
We do all the time.
Right. So I'm just like, I
it's
wish
choice.
that, there was someone outside of my house that, was just automatically go to if you wanted to get some type of, I don't know how to explain it, but just away from that shit. At least there's one person in the scene that is neutral, right? And I didn't really too much. Yeah, this is like, you don't really too much see those people because a lot of times you have to. No, I mean like, but you're
No, I
not
know.
walking around with a banner, like you
No,
saying,
I
you know, like you have to, you know, girl,
right here.
you can't just be anybody and get James Icon's number, like you
Yeah,
saying.
well, you actually can.
I mean, like random.
You actually can.
Okay, well, let me correct myself, but not everybody is like that. Like you were saying.
Right.
So when I think it was my second or third time commentating in House of O. And keep in mind, there was legends that tried to bully me. There were girls who had a lot of shit to say about me. You know, just, you know, those kind of girls.
A lot of stuff. Right.
And,
I can't. You don't gotta go
and
into that.
they pulled up into the building. And at that moment, like I think any sane ballroom girl, I'm like, I can either do two things. I can either make them gag on this microphone and make sure that they have one horrible ass time, right? Or I can use my power to just solve, you know, just like, you know, make do with this, like, you know, make these people comfortable. And I had to, and once I had that realization, I immediately came with that. It was almost like Crystal was yelling in the back of my head, saying, "Faggot, you don't own this motherfucking ballroom," saying I do. And I ain't here. So whoever you have an issue with, you were saying when you on that microphone,
you're a totally different person.
Now I did slip up one time at Times Square, you know, but that was like a bottled up situation. But I always try to make sure that when it comes to me being on the microphone, I'm a little bit more cautious of what I say. You know, that whole thing about, you know, I've seen a lot of people talk about, oh, I don't care about being called off for LSS, or I don't care about judging, but they store my inbox every time. Sometimes they won't even show up to OTT unless they know they're getting an LSS, or they know they're going to be on the judges panel, or they know that they're getting in free.
Stop
you
it. You know you want life. You know you want it. They talk about la and all of that bull
right
crap.
So it's like once I had the microphone, that was my moment where, you know, of course I did the things with the celebrities, and it's one thing to do gigs with celebrities and whatever, and you would come back to Ballroom and you would think, trust me, every girl that has done a gig with a celebrity or something outside of the scene has definitely came back at some point thinking, okay, now I'm gonna get my life because I've done X, Y, and Z. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I never felt that way because I quickly realized once I saw certain celebrities, when I saw Maya come to a ball and she did her little catwalk or whatever, and the girls in the clap, I realized, bitch, even celebrities want this type of fab life that you get. There's a different kind of life that you get from ballroom girls that you don't get anywhere else.
Right.
And it was just like, okay, this is the power that I have. This is what I can do, right? I don't want no one to feel the way that I did coming up in the scene. And there was and I always remember that from myself, because there was one time I went to a bar and I was 100% embarrassed by something that the commentator said to me. And there was no point in bringing it up to them because I knew they weren't going to remember. He was saying, and I'm sure that it wasn't intentionally personal. It was just, you know, just so happened to be a key. But I was just like, God, if you gave me the microphone, I would feel the way that I feel right now. Mm-hmm. And I feel like he took me on that promise, and, you know, we've been moving ever since. But I do think that those little situations do affect people's mentality when it comes to the scene. You say, and that's why they don't access certain things that they can access, you know, because of how they think that they may be talked about. You know, why was this girl at the table? You saying, why was she talking to Miss Thing? You know, I saw this girl walk out of this agency.
Do you think that that's an influence on the drug use as well? That has an influence as to why some people might indulge in substance use?
The reason why I feel like if we're talking about particularly like Tina, I realized a lot of girls, like for myself, I have a history of Tina, right? Mm-hmm. Of Tina use, but I never did Tina because I like doing Tina.
No, I'm just saying like drug use, period. Right.
No, but I'm saying like I found that I liked having sex, you said, and because of what Tina did to, enhance the sex, I like
Mhm.
Tina. Does that make sense? I
It
think a
makes a lot
lot of people,
makes a lot of sense.
I think like when it comes to, now you have that, you have, sex can be a gateway drug too, which we don't
Right.
talk about it, right?
Right.
And I think a lot of the drugs that happen, a lot of times they're in that setting, right? Or you're at a nightclub, right? But a lot of times, at least my experience coming up, when someone tells me about their, involvement with the drug, it was with the something sexual was happening at that time, right?
Okay.
But then we
Mhm.
think about just being not even just the seed, but then we talk about like the gay community. A lot of it is around sex. Like you were
Mhm.
saying,
Yes,
like
definitely.
a lot of it's around sex. If an agency wants to help you about your health, they want to first talk about sex. Like there's other ways to get services to someone without introducing sex, right?
Right.
How come nobody has talked about how all the dramatic girls, if not all the dramatic girls, a good chunk of the dramatic girls have back problems, have leg problems, have knee problems. You were saying there's other ways to, provide services to the community versus just going the sex route, right?
Sex. Right.
Yeah, and then being careful about how we, do these balls, right? Like there was this way agency. Now, mind you, this is just how I feel. I'm a little bit prude, but this is just how I feel. I'm
Okay.
not going. I'm not going. There's two things. I'm never going to a ball that's in a church. That's just I can't do that, right? And
Mhm.
two, I cannot support a ball that has a sexual theme if it's for a kiki ball, right? I don't feel like categories like sex siren should, happen for the kiki scene, right?
Okay. Okay.
Only because I just feel like when it comes to sex and that kind of stuff in this gay world, it's very easily gateway. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
I feel like it's easier for, a gay person or a queer person to, come across drugs than it is for a straight person, just because of how out there and available, it is. But I feel like, imagine like for me to see, like, I remember there was this one bar, and this is no shade towards the house, but I remember it was like a sex theme, and there was like kids voguing there, right?
Little
And I'm just
kids.
like, I feel like, huh?
Little
Yeah,
kids.
like little kids. They had to be like 10 or 11
Oh.
carrying, but in the back you see a femme queen with pasties, a butch queen that's in sheer, dick almost popping out and stuff. And I'm just like,
Ooh.
I feel like there's kind of like a disconnect, I feel, with how agencies are involved with the scene, with how they try to combat this issue. It's sad that Ballroom Throwbacks, in my opinion, is like the most prominent right now with bringing up this, which I feel like is the most important issue right now, which is this Tina use, right? Um, Especially around
Absolutely.
the holidays, the way that the depression just hits differently during the holidays. You know,
Right.
saying
Yeah.
that Tina hits differently during the holidays, you know. But yeah, I feel like, not to say that we're in a dead end. I feel like there's other agencies who, are making, certain advances, to where people don't feel uncomfortable. That also comes with these agencies making sure that they partner up with people within the scene, right? And just hiring a kitten is not doing the job as much. Yes, that's providing services for them, but that kitten is still a kitten. You were saying when you have people like, Tim, and you have the Lunas, you were saying people that actually have an influence in the scene. Be strategic about when we talk about ballroom girls. Who are we getting
Right.
to be your liaisons or your representatives? And they
Absolutely.
should show up more than, of course it's your job, right? But there has to be some type of mindset that comes with, like, you have to show up present and be willing to support these girls. Like Tabitha would stop partying to go have a conversation to provide services to someone. And
Right.
not everyone is like that.
Absolutely. So, what type of
But
advice
you
would you
inspired me
offer?
too. I'm sorry, I must say the way that the girls always you did
Oh, me.
when I
Thank
yes
you.
when I was in Baltimore. Of course, the icon girls
My
dominate.
baby. My baby.
the the first I thought, you know, you being a butch queen, you see a femme queen, you think that you could clock any femme queen or anything like that. And I'm not sure if you even know this story, but my first job in Baltimore, I was working as a medical assistant. I'm at Chase Braxton, and
Where I
Stephanie.
work at now.
Okay, and Stephanie Icon, the Shields Green. She she was the girl that ended up hiring me. She was like the head medical assistant, right?
Yes.
And they, you know, we went through a whole interview or whatever, and it was obvious that I was gauging. So there was really no. I feel like the question of how do you get along with, you know, gay people, whatever, was, I guess, just a stipulation they had to ask. But then me
Right.
and Stephanie's in the room, and she's like, "All right, there's another thing I need to tell you as well. You know, I'm also a trans woman," and I'm like, "What?" And then everything started to click in my head, and then she started talking about her history, and she was just like, "Yeah, I'm an icon," and then she was the first person to mention James, the first person outside of Baldwin to mention James Icon to me, right? And then you got Rhonda, right? And then there's Destiny and all these other femme queens that everybody knows of James. And then I see Wally. At first, I thought Icon was just an all femme queen house, and I think his name is Wally or
Wally.
big boy with the long hair.
Huh?
Yeah, and I was just like, okay, Icon is seriously a thing, because I thought it was just Ashley Unaus. I didn't fully understand like what it gave with the icons. And then everyone talks about how you look out for the girls, right? And I'm just like, that's really dope, because my experience coming up, like until that point, I didn't see that. Like you were saying.
They
So it's
weren't.
like seeing how the girls, you know, talked about you, and the, you know, and the way that they referenced you, you know, Ashley and then Sabrina. I was just like, okay, this is where, you know, this is the type of, when I'm looking at the legacy I want to leave. There was, of course, you know, I got inspired to do commentary, and I got inspired to vote, but then when I started to think about, okay, if there was a commentator that wasn't tied to a house, that just treated the whole scene like his house, what are certain qualities that he has? You know what I'm saying? And you were definitely one of those people that I think about, you know, when it, you know, when it comes to how you're involved with the scene, you know, especially what you do for the girls.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. That means a lot. Thank you. Aw. Woo, woo, woo. It's so sweet because I just love everybody. As funny as I could be, or people think I'm mean, I really love everybody. So another question for you: what do you say to someone if they come to you and they are thinking about using crystal meth? Like, what would that conversation be like for you? Well, of course, I don't know if it has happened to you, but what would that conversation be like?
I'm sure the second statement I would have to say before, I'm sure my second statement would be, I'm sorry, because I'm sure my first statement would be, bitches, you out your mind. Right? Because I think I would be shocked that someone would bring it up that, right? But I would have to say, when it comes to crystal meth, when it comes to Tina, it really comes to, like, why are you doing it? Like, you were saying, why? Like you were saying, and I think that, you know, things like poppers, you were saying, also, like, you know, is something that would, you know, I think is like gateway, if you will, right? If you can't take the D without, you know, assistance, maybe you're meant to be a top. You know what I'm saying? No shade. Like you say, like I myself being you know, someone that was a teenager using poppers, I was just like, yep, it was the D for me. The moment that I realized that this is where I'm at, and then I'm seeing on commercials where now they're posting videos saying that you should not be taking poppers. It gave, okay, you know, you have to, like, but that, I mean, I know everybody's not like that. I mean, I understand everybody's not like that. You're gonna get what you want the way that you want to get it. If we're being, you know, flat out straight with it, right? I don't think that there's, outside of me saying don't do it, you know what I'm saying, and you know, giving you the information about it and telling you my story, you know what I'm saying, I can only hope and pray that you don't do it, right? But you know, mine looks like a success story, right? So me telling people that I have, a history with, cheating usage, you saying, I don't think that me saying it will put any heavy decision on it, only because I never got, super strung out, you were saying, with it. I've seen girls pass away, right? And I think the most I can do is tell my story. I've even seen ballroom girls in which where people will, make a story and say like, oh, this person died of, some complications or whatever. But then through the grapevine of the girls that do Tina, oh no, she died because she overdosed. You were saying?
Right.
So even how some girls passing away, we're not really saying what it is because there's such a stigma on it. You were saying, and of course, makes sense. Nobody, wants to be remembered that way, whatever. But I think once people become more open and honest, with that,
Right, definitely.
And sometimes when you're escorting, I remember one time I went to one man's house. I was going to escort. He had a plate with a mountain of coke on it. You were saying, and I know, like, I used to be very much like, okay, mind over matter. Just think about someone else, think about your crush or whatever, and sometimes those kind of drugs help you just get to the job that you need to do. You were saying, so you can get the coin that you need to get,
Right.
But sometimes some girls end up getting even addiction through that way. So it's more so like, tackling what, I think tackling things like, being more serious when we talk about sex and how we, talk about it, having parents like actually, charge, to have these conversations, amongst their houses, but not in no way where we all sit down in a circle and be like, okay, everyone go around the circle and talk about your sexual endeavors. No. Those little random moments when you text it and you like, hey girl, how you doing? All right, be creative in that way. Make them more one-on-one conversations than group conversations, because then you'll get more authenticity with people. And creating that space too where conversations like that can happen, without them feeling embarrassed or without you being grossed out to hear, that someone that a loved one is having these experiences, but willing to hear them, without being judgmental too.
Got you. And what are your thoughts about the fentanyl now being laced in so many drugs? From the cocaine, crystal meth, the Molly, even weed, marijuana hearing now that they lace it.
If I can be frank, I'm a stern believer that when God made weed, he chuckled, because it's because I know forgive me, Father, but I just feel like he was just like, this is gonna fuck them up. This was the, when God said, I'm gonna send you a helper, like this was the helper part 2. Please don't. I am, when God wants his way, he wants his way. So
Absolutely.
If this the next thing where it's just like, okay, girl, well, now I need y'all to stop smoking weed, and this is, or you being more cautious, or maybe this is thing where it's like you're just not going to anybody and buying weed. You were saying, but I think I'm providing more solutions to how do you keep buying weed to get around the fentanyl thing. I think it's just more so like, but I'm gonna be honest. To tell people to not smoke weed, it's not like you were saying. It's not given that, like, no shade. I think it's given very much like you definitely have to, take time to. I'm gonna say take time, because ain't no bud man giving you time to get to know them. You were saying, but get the bud get bud from the bud man that your girlfriend is getting bud from. You were saying. Don't be as mixy. That's the other thing too. I realize there's a lot of girls who are mixy because you're mixy and everyone knows you and everyone knows where you live and everyone has your phone number, and you're the girl to, to get the bag, and you're the girl to get the drinks and everything. Yeah. It's like Russian roulette on drama, because you always find yourself in those spaces. You know saying?
Right. That's true. What advice would you give a young person coming into Ballroom today? Like, how you you be out and you be chilling with your friends, your girlfriends and everything. You see some young child come through and you take a notice to that child. What would be your advice?
Well, what I have done multiple times of OTA, you know, I, and it's usually with the girls that are very interested, is always remember why you are here. I always remembered that the reason why I came into this scene is because of the amazing phone conversations I would have with Omari on the phone, and
Shout out to
Tiny
Mark.
before I came to the ballroom scene, and seeing my biological cousin, James West, you know, voguing.
You have
You
a
know,
biological cousin.
yeah. Okay, I keep on saying biological, but yeah, we're
Y'all
married in
cousins. Y'all are
2000.
cousins.
Yeah,
Y'all are cousins.
yeah, we're not like play
Y'all
cousins
are
or any
cousins.
of that
Y'all
kind of
are
shit.
cousins.
Yeah.
Y'all are
So
cousins. It's a lot of family members of each other in ballroom. I love to hear those.
yeah, so I think it's given, you know, very much like just remember why you're here. Because if you think that becoming legendary or iconic is gonna solve your strife, Janice is still being shaded. You were saying they treated Cassandra the way that they did. When Deja was asking for help, the girls played in her face. When Yolanda was asking for help, the girls played in her face. There's other icons who are still living now that have gone through situations and the girls act like they don't exist. You have to make sure that if you're going to be in this scene, that you're voguing for yourself, you're walking for yourself, you're walking face for yourself. Why are you doing it? And do not allow no parent or no house to tell you what you are going to walk. The job of the house is to get you better at what you want to walk. And if they are not good at getting you there, you go to the house that can get you there. Just because you go to a house meeting does not mean you have to join that house. They're not just interviewing you, you're interviewing them. So take that with, you know, a grain of salt, right? Like make sure that when you come into the scene, you know that you're valuable, right?
Absolutely.
You know that you're valuable. Don't hold these people up to any high regard, because there's people that I'm friends with now, legends, that are still acting as if we're kittens in 2013, you know, and, you know, 2010 and beyond. There's still legends now that you see that people don't even call them out, or it's given, as I used to say, snap legends, where you got to be like, what's it, like people say, ballroom loves you for what you provide. Right? When people talk about what I do in ballroom, they talk about what I provide. And if I wasn't providing these things, then I wouldn't be, you know, talked about, right?
Right.
So it's given very much like you have to have your passion, find your passion, and don't let nobody misguide you from that. Doesn't matter how bad the house is. Sometimes the house that has 5 members is the house for you.
Right. Yeah, it could be. It could be. It could be.
Yeah, it's okay. You know
Right.
what Ricky told me,
Right.
which I thought was fab? Ricky told me that he was able to join Allure,
Angel
right?
Reverend. Someone said
And
in
no
ballroom
other butch queen
only
for
has
a minute was able to join. That was his stipulation. If I joined this, at least that's what he told me. Like, you know, if I was to join this house, he was saying, when you can do stuff like that, he was saying that's how you should think of, you know, these kinds of things when you're joining the house. It's not just what the house can do for you. What can you do for the house? It needs to be like a meeting thing, right? Or you're just going to be one of those people, right? You're just going to be one of those people trying to find your way. That's why every time I join a house, within the first 6 months, I'm in the leadership meeting. It is, even as a kitten, within the first 6 months, I was in the leadership meeting. You understand?
Right.
And it came from me knowing that this is what I want. And I used to thank God to Luna and his Luna show, watching all my faves say the same thing. Ballroom is for you. Just have fun. I'm just having fun. And, you know, God just blessed me to get paid and have fun at the same time. You know, and I still gag that I'm able to make the coins that I can make, icon, from the scene, right? From the scene supported OTA and the gigs that I can do outside of OTA, you know, to make sure my lights are staying on, you know, and I always have this, you know, gratitude. So it's like, yeah, I have fun doing it. You know, you have to really have fun doing it. I didn't do what I did for legendary status.
You do. Right. Right. You did it for fun. Absolutely. So we're winding down. And so I wanted a couple of quick things. One word that describes Leggoh, and what does that mean to you? I'll give you 2 words.
One word that describes me is Kazeka. and that's my real name. And
Say
my
it
real
again.
name, Kazeka.
Oh,
Yeah, and it means beloved by God. And I feel
oh,
like that has literally just been my life story. Oh my God, look
amen.
at me getting emotional. But you know, I live 5 blocks down from the shelter I used to live in. You know, I'm reminded every day that I'm really beloved, you know, by God. Every time I come up with a plan for something, it doesn't only come to fruition, it's successful. You know, a lot of people still sometimes think of like where the hell did Lego come from? Being able to get, you know, these type of, you know, accesses that he's been getting for the scene. But I really do believe it's because I pray about everything before I do it, you know, and then I just, you know, strive my hardest to meet, you know, God halfway there to bring it to fruition. So yeah, beloved by God, Kazeka. That's the one word that would describe it.
Mhm. Absolute excellent. That's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful name.
What was that
And
question RR just said? Can you
I
bring
said,
that back
can you
again?
name your top 5 houses in the Kiki scene and 5 in mainstream?
Oh shit, I should have asked that.
Right.
Okay. My top I want okay. I feel like honestly, I feel like Juicy Couture is one of the fan houses in the Kiki scene, along with
Come on.
Dior,
Mm-hmm.
along with the Old Navies, along with the Gabbanas. You know, I love. It's hard to keep it with the Kiki scene because the Kiki scene allows girls to grow, right? So
Yes.
that's why
Yes.
you usually get new
Yes.
houses coming, you
Yes.
know, every
Yeah.
now and then, which I really, really love. I'm really excited to see what the House of Telfar does in the Kiki scene. I know that's a house that just started.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Give me 5 mainstream.
Mainstream, the
Keeping over you. I'm sorry.
definitely the House of West, definitely the House of West, the House of Demure Versailles. I'm really excited to see what the Basquiat's are going to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, of course, in the house or not the house, baby, the House of LaBeija. No shade.
Absolutely.
House of LaBeija
Absolutely.
was able to start the scene, went dormant, came back, carried, went dormant,
Carried.
came back,
Carried.
carried, and
Carried.
now they're back again. And Miss Aja LaBeija is out here carrying in the name. When the LaBeijas chose the Phoenix as their mascot, I'm like, that perfectly describes that house, right? It's a whole lot of people trying to get that house together, whatever, and you know they're holding on or whatever. But I definitely see like that is so fab. There's a lot of houses that tried to
Absolutely.
come back or
Absolutely.
whatever, and they just didn't make
Absolutely.
it. So
Like I said,
definitely House of
ballroom
LaBeija.
gods. They are the part of the ballroom gods. They are, like you said, our beginning, one of the first houses of ballroom. Like Paris explained, you know, La Beija because she was so beautiful. You know, the house of
Mhm.
La Beija is sunshine. The sun will always shine. You
And the
know,
fifth house, extravaganza.
of course, another ballroom god, the house god.
Mhm.
You know, like
I
it,
think
it
it's just so fab that that house literally they don't storm like that, but when they have their ones and twos come out, it be ones and
phenomenal.
twos,
It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Like they got
you
that girl
know.
Angie. Who's that? Angie Extrava, the young lady.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm. Yes, I remember like majority of
beautiful,
my come up was
beautiful.
like gigs, the LaBeijas, when LaBeijas was doing a lot of gigs or whatever. If we were booked, I would always see like a extravaganza somewhere. You would
Mm-hmm.
say either they were working like behind the scenes or working on set design or
CPR.
something.
Right,
Yeah, that's how I ended up having a great relationship with Hector Extravaganza too. So yeah, definitely
right.
those would be my top 5
Well,
houses for now.
for now, for now, I love it. I love it.
It's
I agree.
always changing, you know.
It's always changing.
Yeah.
But tonight we want to say thank you to everyone that tuned in for tonight's one-on-one with the legendary microphone, the voice, no, excuse me, the legendary voice of a generation,
Thank
Leggoh.
you so
JohVera, you know, and we thank you here at Ballroom We Cares. You know, you can always reach out as it goes across the bottom of the screen. The contact information at www.ballroomwecare.org, and you can contact at ballroomwecare.org at 347-300-1250. IG is Ballroom We Care all together, Twitter Ballroom We Care all together, and YouTube Ballroom We Care all. Keep all the words together. I am your host for tonight, Father James Icon. People know me as Father, and I love you all. Flowers, thank you so much for joining us, Leggoh. You know,
I love you.
I love you.
I love you, Tim.
I love you, Tim. Jesse, everybody out there. Hey, Jesse. Jesse's my best friend. You know, and every thank you for everybody coming out and sitting with us tonight. You know, star, statement, legend, knock or rock, whatever you want to be called or whatever like that. You know, everybody has a place in this scene, and we love everybody, and that's what we got to keep doing, showing love and showing up for each other, you know. And thank you for tuning in. Till next time, Tabitha will probably be up next with a fabulous interview or something like that. So thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, guys. Bye. You came to feel it. You came to feel it. You came to the ball. You came to win. You came to feel it. You came to feel it, bitch. Oh! Ouch.
Don't you go nowhere. Where's Mike? Come on.
Come on.
Don't you go nowhere.
Oh, Mike gonna stop lying.
What's that old saying? Give them their roses while they're here.
Right. Come on,
Yes,
man.
man.
Two.
That's right. You deserve it. I want you to suck it up. You deserve this moment.
I want you to roll my
This is history.